No. Hey everyone! It has been a while. Let me get this camera looking good. Oh yeah. Happy campers right here.
One too many buttons on them there.
I guess I could have cleaned out the junk back here, but I didn't. So anyway, it has been a while since we've done a live. I think our last live YouTube chat was in June, where we kind of caught y'all up on, you know, early stages of COVID, the first few months. We like sat around in Arizona and all that stuff. But yeah, it's been some time since then. And we have still continued to have to cancel a bunch of, you know, events, RV shows that we were going to work for New Camp, a lot of our photo workshops, but we are slowly and safely getting back to work. And that's been a thing, I think, for everyone. It's like been a really big thing. So, you know, we're no different. We're just doing the best we can to be safe. And luckily, the nature of our job is kind of self-quarantined anyway. We're outside, we're in small groups, and so yeah, that's been good. What do you think?
I think we're both pretty excited that we've been able to get back into doing a few workshops. We had to cancel, I think, 15 events this year. So each time we get to do an event, it's just kind of a small victory. And each time 2 weeks passes after the event and nobody's emailed us back and said, hey, we came down with COVID, it's a small or a big victory, actually.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're taking all the precautions we can.
Yeah. So we're currently, we just drove from Texas.
Hello from Russia.
Whoa, Russia.
Wow.
Jeez Louise. Furthest traveled for the YouTube video. Anyway, we just drove from Texas to Grand Canyon. We booked it up here in 2 days. And so our drink of choice for the day, because this is really important, you guys, is from the Canyon Diablo Distillery, and it is their Grand Canyon bourbon, which we found in the liquor store, but we have found very little information about it online. So I honestly don't know much about it aside from it's pretty tasty. So cheers.
It's from a distillery a couple miles outside of Flagstaff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we found it in Flagstaff, so that was pretty cool. We always like trying the local stuff. Anyway, oh, so the canyon. This is a big thing right now, what we're about to do, and I think I might be insane for letting Kendrick talk me into it. But as some of you might know, we always do photography workshops, but we have in the last couple of years gotten into guiding backpacking trips. And so we came up with the grand idea of, you know, guiding people to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and back out, which has been great. But this year we are doing 4 trips in the next 2.5 weeks with a bonus 5th trip, because apparently 4 is just not quite enough. So after we do 4 guided trips, then we're just going to run it in a day just for the heck of it, because, you know, like 4 trips isn't enough.
You can never get enough of the Grand Canyon. It's just a pretty awesome place. So
yeah,
might as well do 6 or 7 trips.
Yeah. No, I think I might be dying at the end of this, but I'm excited. I'm so excited for it. We had gotten a couple of questions. I think our buddy Rex asked us about some of the logistics of doing trips of that magnitude. So, you know, I'll let Kendrick chime in here, but it's not, to be fair, it's not one long 2-week trips. It's like 4 trips where we come up for a day and then we go back in. So we don't have to carry things for 2 weeks. We take people on 3-night, 4-day trips, and we offer rental gear. So everything from backpacks, sleeping bags, tents, all that lightweight backpacking gear that you probably don't own. We provide that. We also offer portering services. So we carry all the food, we carry your sleeping gear. So we do all of that, but Kendrick can chime in on some of the like more detailed logistics of what we do.
I mean, there's not really a lot of logistics. Once you get all the permitting and paperwork and all that stuff done, I mean, that's the hardest part. And then just we do an itinerary that I feel most people can handle,
Mhm.
even if it's something they might not feel that they can handle. Over the course of 4 days, we hike about 20 miles. We descend just under 5,000 feet to the bottom, and we ascend just over or just under 5,000 feet back to the top. Um, but we go all the way down in a day. We spend a rest day down at the bottom where we just kind of encourage people to get up and walk around so they don't get super sore and stiff. And then we spend 2 days hiking out. So um, it's kind of amazing. Our typical clientele tends to be in their 60s. We've had a couple people in their 70s, and everybody, surprises themselves on these hikes.
Yeah.
But in terms of
Yeah, it's been great.
packing, it's just less and more sometimes. Just wear the same clothes almost every day, maybe a couple extra pairs
Like
of
we
socks
do
and
anyway.
underwear. And then
It's not really much different from our normal life.
yeah. And then for us, we carry a couple extra things that we might not carry if it was just us going down. Um, like a full first aid kit. We are required to carry that as part of our permit to operate in the park. And then we'd like to carry some communication devices where if somebody were to get seriously injured, we can call an SOS and get a helicopter rescue.
Yeah.
And just a few things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I think he had also asked about Rex had asked us about water and how we are able to pack that much water. Well, the good thing is normally there is actually water available at each of our evening stops. So you really only have to carry enough water for that day. And then you can get water everywhere we camp at night. Unless, of course, the canyon is notorious for having their main pipeline break, need maintenance, repair. The south rim of the Grand, amazes me. So many people live at the south rim. It's like where a big part of the park is. They get all of their water from the north rim. There's no water on the south rim. So all the water for every building comes down the north rim and back up. I think that is amazing. It's crazy to me. Kendrick doesn't find it as amazing, but I just think it's insane. Anyway.
it's kind of
Oh,
like in Colorado. You look at, I forget what one of our patrons, Kevin Gamash, told us. He's really big into knowing where water comes from, where it goes, geology, and all that. And it's something like 75% or 80% of the population of Colorado lives east of the Continental Divide, which is kind of the high point, or not the high point, but it's the ridge essentially where the water goes east or west. And like 75% of the water is on the west side of that.
yeah.
So all the water is getting kind of diverted over the divide and
It's
into the
very
Front Range.
crazy
And um,
when you think about the engineering that goes into that. It's just kind of awesome. So really quick, I see there's like some questions coming in on our little chat bar on the side, and we're totally going to read these and answer them. But I will take one moment to note that you see the little dollar sign down by the little happy face where you'd like type a chat. That's a super chat, and you can like throw us $1 and that'll make your question pop up bigger, and we'll like definitely see it if you do that. So, wink, wink. We'll definitely see it if you pay $1 for us to see it. Yeah. So there's that. But where was I going with that? So that's the canyon. Oh, just really briefly, we won't talk about the canyon too long, but we do have we're full up till the end of the year. Next spring, we're doing a February and a March trip. The March trip is already sold out, but if you're interested in going with us, the end of February, we still have some room. So, yeah. Oh, and John, okay, while we're talking about this, John just asked, have you ever considered rim to rim? And yes, we have, and we're getting permits for all of that right now.
We had one planned for May of this year, and it got canceled because the park
Yeah.
was closed due to COVID. But the hard thing about rim to rim is you have to wait for the facilities on the north rim to open, which they don't open until like mid-May, because of just they don't plow the roads or anything like that over there. But that means whenever you do your trip, it's mid to end of May, and it can be quite hot. But yeah, we have one that we're trying to get everything booked for May of this year.
Yep.
Or 2021. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, stay tuned. Basically, we'll throw it on the website, send an email out when we get all the permits and everything. We'll get that out. So yeah, that'll be awesome. But yeah, so not to talk too much about that, I saw a couple of questions come in. Again, it's hard to read without the super chat. I'm just saying. JD asked, where do we go to the bathroom? I feel like we've answered this a couple of times, maybe.
Is that in regards to where do we go to the bathroom on our canyon trips, or just generally speaking when we're in our camper?
That's a good question.
I feel like it's in regard to our canyon trips, because that's what we've been talking about.
We can answer both.
The canyon trips, I'll answer that one.
Yeah.
On the route that we hike down, there are bathrooms at the top, and then there are, I think, 2 more sets of bathrooms en route to the bottom. They're composting toilets, and then at the bottom, they have both composting toilets and flush toilets. And then on our way out, there's 1 set of bathrooms about a mile or 2 into the hike, and then there's another set of bathrooms at the campground that we camp at about halfway up. And then our last day, we hike up 4.5 miles, and then 3 miles from the top and 1.5 miles from the top, there's bathrooms. So basically, if you don't have just any sort of serious issue, there is a bathroom that you can use on any portion of the hike.
Oh, look at that. TL Hikes doesn't even have a question. Thank you. That's awesome. We're grateful to be able to entertain, hopefully, if that's what you can call this. All right. I do think that's what the bathroom question was. He never popped up and said, so I'm not going to talk about the other.
Sean Keenan also likes that we were drinking at noon.
He
said that a little while up.
Oh, and then somebody asked what kind of beer you're drinking. David did. What kind of beer are you drinking?
Oh, thank you, Joyce.
Hey, Joyce.
Currently not drinking a beer. I am drinking our Grand Canyon bourbon. But in the fridge, I have I have a couple beers. I have Centennial IPA from Founders Brewery. I believe they're out of somewhere in Michigan. And then I also have Two Hearted Ale from another brewery that I think is somewhere out of Michigan.
Joyce and John, thank you both so very much. Also, I know I don't want to talk about like alcohol too long because that's not what this is about, but he always gets to talk about beer. I will say I'm not a huge beer drinker, but I like usually the hard seltzers, and I found this amazing one. It was a joint thing between the Peachtree Distillery and the Snowmelt, and
no, that's not Peachtree. That's Upslope Brewery out of Boulder, and then Scratch Labs. Upslope and Scratch Labs. Anyway, it's called Snowmelt. It's an amazing seltzer. And the other thing I've been looking into is like some of the canned wines, which I've been like, most of them have been kind of so-so, but there's this one that is a red wine that is carbonated. And I know it sounds super weird, but it's like delicious. And it's called Red Babe, which is awesome because I've got my red hair and I can drink my Red Babe, and it's really delicious. So if you're like a canned wine drinker. Oh, look, Kendrick, this hilarious photo of me. He's got to show it. See if I can get it on there.
Me and my Red Babe. There's like a reflection.
There we go.
There we go. That's it. It's pretty good. Anyway, it's tasty. So thank you, Mr. Heward. Okay, there was another question up here about camping somewhere.
Somebody said they're buying a teardrop and condensation.
Oh, here. Do you find condensation to be an issue at all overnight? I will say condensation is totally normal. It's absolutely not a problem. If you're experiencing condensation in your camper, don't freak out. It's like a normal thing in every brand of every camper. So the key for us is we always keep our fan cracked, even if it's cold outside. Doesn't matter. You need like a fresh air flow. That you just have to have it. If it's cold outside and hot inside, you're going to get condensation. So we always crack our vent, no matter what, even if it's cold outside. And a lot of times too, you can, in the new camp products, if you guys haven't noticed this, the window latches, you can like almost see right here because I'm right. Actually, wait, you can see this guy up here. There's like a halfway point. It's like makes your
Mhm.
window, you can lock it to where it's open just a quarter of an inch. You can actually lock it into that position. And that also, when you turn your fan on, allows for some airflow. So, yeah, condensation is normal, but keep it aired out so that it doesn't cause a serious problem, by getting too wet.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the morning, if we wake up, you'll see condensation along where the aluminum frames are,
Mhm.
and we'll just take your rag in the morning and just like wipe it off so it doesn't, it just doesn't soak into the ceiling like that.
If we're camping someplace, we remember to crack the vent
Yeah.
and get some airflow going. But if we just spend a night, say in a Walmart parking lot while we're traveling from one place to another, we forget sometimes, and we have a lot of condensation.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Alder, for the couple of bucks. Every dollar helps.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's totally
what is
awesome.
that? 100 like rubies or something?
I don't know what a rube
A
is.
rube?
It's whatever he's from. I love it though. I'm sure it's like a
Yeah.
cup of coffee or something.
And Chris Close or Klaus live in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Going to bring some beer to Taberado,
Oh
maybe.
yeah, we got to talk a minute. We got
So,
to talk a minute about
and
these
Tim, thank you so much.
these events. One person, I think it was NH Doc Dad, asked us about if we have any news on New Camp 2021. So, um, as most of you know, New Camp 2020 was canceled, and they are planning on doing 2021 as of right now. That's the hope. We all have our fingers crossed that the world will get its life straight and be okay by then. The way they're doing it is they're going to offer all the people who are in 2020 get like early dibs by I think maybe a couple days to say whether or not they want to come. They get like first dibs. And then there's definitely going to be some people who can't go, change their mind, whatever. And so then those spots are going to be opened up to anybody. Usually around February 1st is when they do that. So I'd say just be ready. Just be ready for that. Um, and then if you guys have been following us on Facebook
Oh yeah,
or
that's David.
email or
I forgot about
whatever,
that.
um, oh, it's David. Oh, I forget names. It's New Hampshire Dave. Okay. Anyway, we decided there are so many cool tab rallies that we get to work for New Camp or for whoever, and they're always so much fun, and we have so many rally friends. Why not do our own rally? Because we love Colorado, and there wasn't. I mean, there were a few in Colorado, but like there wasn't a big one for tabs. So
And we don't already have enough work to do.
yeah, we
So,
don't already have enough to do. So we're doing Taberado at the end of July, early August. Um, I don't want to talk about it too long because the fact is it sold out in about 3 minutes. Like we went live with it and it was sold out. But there is a waiting list, and I guarantee people will cancel between now and then. So if you are interested, it is taberado.com. You can go there and get on the waiting list. So yeah, that's the thing.
going back to the canyon, Mark Donald asked if we ever consider doing a non-corridor trip. So for those who aren't familiar, the Grand Canyon runs east to west, and there are two trails that go down from the main Grand Canyon village on the south side, and they converge at the bottom at the Colorado River. The South Kaibab Trail and the north, or in the Bright Angel Trail. And then on the north side of the river, there's one trail that goes up to the north rim called the North Kaibab Trail. Those three trails are considered the main corridor trails, but then there's hundreds of other miles of trails throughout the canyon. So to answer that question, we actually are doing a non-corridor trail with two clients who are friends of mine from college and are celebrating their 10-year anniversary. And it's a little bit harder to plan the non-corridor trips because they're a little bit more ambitious. So we're
Quite a bit.
doing a 4-night, 5-day trip with them where we will go down the Hermit's Trail, cut across on Tonto all the way to Indian Garden, And then from there, we'll basically rejoin with what we do on our typical trips. Um, so we'll go down to the bottom, spend a couple days there, and then hike up South Kaibab in one day.
Yeah.
And that's our first non-corridor guided trail or guided trip. We've done a lot of miles off the corridor trails just alone. We did like an 85-mile trip over 13 days back in 2018. So
Yeah, that was crazy.
yeah, that was a good one.
So Daryl just asked if we were planning any more big projects like our Alaska to Mexico or our 14er project. And yeah, we're always thinking about the next project because, it's kind of cool to have like a bigger goal than, we love our workshops and backpacking trips, but it's kind of like the same circuit every year. And so we've got to throw something big in there. And we actually had hoped this summer we were going to do a lot of the really big classic Colorado backpacking trips and make a big video about, the classic backpacking trips. But when COVID hit and we had to cancel a bunch of things and rearrange our schedule, it just didn't happen. So yeah, now we're looking for something next year, and Kendrick and I keep thinking something international. Like, we don't leave the States very often. And so if you guys have any like grand ideas of something we should do internationally, which could be not crazy expensive, but a project that people would like to see documented, I think that would be really cool.
I'm trying to drag her down to South America, and she wants me to go to China. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where we're at there.
And I want to do both.
Yeah, and we'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah. I lived in China for a couple of years, and so I wanted to show him my spots. And he's been to Patagonia quite a bit, and so he's got to take me in.
Yeah. Peru and Bolivia.
Yeah, so that's cool. So I don't know. Look out, maybe something international like that. So I can't remember Expedition Overlanding Nomadic Adventures. Exactly, I forget people's names with their YouTube channels, but will Kendrick run? Yeah, so our little 5th bonus trip in the canyon, we're doing our 4 guided trips. And then on the last trip, Kendrick is going to be running rim to rim to rim. So he's going to go south rim, down, north rim, down, south rim. And that was way too ambitious for me. So I'm going to go rim to river and up in a day, which I haven't done yet. So that's going to be exciting.
So yeah, she'll basically do the trip that we take our clients on over 3 nights and 4 days and do that in one day. We've got a friend coming up from Southern Arizona she'll do that with. And then I've got a friend coming out from Ohio, a couple friends actually. And I'll do rim to rim to rim with them.
Yeah.
So hers will be about probably 17, 18 miles, and mine will be 42, which will be the longest run I've done in a while.
Then Claude, stay safe on your canyon trips. Looking forward to so we're definitely going to be taking lots of video and photos on the trips all together. And I'm not going to do an episode for every single trip. I feel like that would be too much, but we're looking for the right angle for it, for doing some personal journaling and also just sharing the beauty of the canyon in maybe like a 2 or 3 part series, or maybe just one. I don't know, but we'll definitely do some of that. B. Williams asked, kind of switching topics here, if there any advice for buying a tab. Is it best to buy used or new, or is there a preference? Which actually, I wanted to address this because it's really interesting right now with so many industries, people losing jobs, businesses closing. The one industry that is really booming is the RV industry because, people can't travel internationally and they're all like, hey, let's buy a camper and go camping. And so, our friends at Princess Craft and some other dealers have kind of given us some insight as to everything they have on their lot is sold and they can't get inventory quick enough to even sell it, which is insane right now. But what that means if you're buying, it might be harder to find something new, but you give it a year and a half, and I feel like the used market is going to explode because all these people who bought COVID campers and never used them are gonna be like, "Oh, we don't really need this anymore." And I feel like there's gonna be a huge used market in, like, a year or 2, probably.
But regarding new campers, if you're looking at those, and whether or not to buy new or used, my suggestion there would be to just go ahead and buy new because they retain their value so well that if you're buying a used one, you're only going to save maybe, a couple $1,000s, versus buying a brand new one. And if you buy a brand new one, then you know the exact history of the camper. Um, it's not going to be like some of the more cookie cutter RVs that are out there, where as soon as you drive it off the lot, it's worth half as much as you paid for it. Um, so the new camp products really hold their value quite well. Um,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I always get people telling me, like, they just can't find a camper, and it's because you can literally buy a new camp product, use it for a year, 2, 3, and you can resell it for almost what you bought it for if you take care of it, and
there's probably people right now that have 3, 4-year-old campers that are selling them used due to the
the
supply chain
COVID, yeah,
issues, as a result of just everything going on right now. They're probably selling 3, 4-year-old campers for as much or more than they paid for them, at
yeah,
least with the new camp products, I would say.
yeah.
Um,
Um, can we totally change subjects now? Because I love talking photography, and we got a photo question. John Scherer, in your opinion, is it okay to enhance a photograph in Photoshop, Lightroom, etc., or should we strive for the best possible photograph straight out of camera, basically? I love that question. I actually love talking about it because there's no right answer. There is no right or wrong. You can agree with me or disagree with me, and it doesn't really matter because the only person I am trying to please is myself. And as long as I do that, then, you know, I'm I'm winning in the game. But my opinion is for me, photography is an art. I am horrible at drawing. I'm horrible at painting.
she's good at drawing.
No, I'm not
She's
that
got into
good.
that the last few months. She's good at
But
it.
photography is an art to me, and I am not looking. It's all about your end goal, right? Like I am not looking to document something journalistically to show a historical representation of an event. That's just not what I'm looking for. And in that situation, I would say, yes, you probably don't want to Photoshop. What I'm striving to do is I am striving to create a beautiful image that is as beautiful or more beautiful than what I might see with my naked eye. And so if I am able to take a scene and enhance it and give it a particular feeling, that brings my viewer into something awe-inspiring, that's my goal. So yeah, I'm totally all about editing. And I have my own. It's a really gray area as far as how far is too much, how far is not enough, and that's a personal thing. So I have my line where I'm like, okay, I see some images and I think, ugh, they like way overdid that. But who am I to judge what overdoing it is? And some people might look at my pictures and think, "Oh my gosh, she way overdid that." Um, so it's very gray.
And it's all style too. I
It's your
mean,
style,
like
yeah.
Mandy taught me everything I know to do in Photoshop and Lightroom, but even along those lines, eventually I take what she teaches me and I use that to develop my own style of editing. So I think her style is a little more colorful, bright, cheery,
Cheery,
maybe
cheery.
I don't know, like
Yeah,
bordering on fantasy sometimes, but still not looking overdone. And then mine is a little more dark, moody, just kind of,
right.
I don't know.
But I think you really like, as far as just is it okay or not, you just have to ask yourself, what's your end goal? And then also not to, like, lie about it. Um, I'll be the first one to tell you everything I do in a picture and everything I've enhanced. I think where a lot of photographers get Photoshop flack is when they'll make this weird composition with the Milky Way and the moon and the sun and the mountain and the flower, and then they'll just be like, "Oh, yeah, that was a single shot." No, just don't lie about it. I will sometimes take my moon and make it a little bit bigger, but you ask me that and I'll say, "Oh, yeah, doesn't that make it" I'm proud of it. I'm like, "Yeah, I did a great job, didn't I? It makes it look better." um, just be honest and truthful in what you're doing, but still create the image that when you look at it, you just go, wow, yeah, that's cool. That's a neat
Just
painting. I mean,
we've
it's
seen
digital art.
images that are like the Maroon Bells, which are these two classic mountains in Colorado, just outside of Aspen, and they're side by side. And then you have a lake right in front
Yeah.
of you with a perfect reflection, assuming the water level's high enough. And then you have fall colors everywhere. And then there's just like the most split right down the middle Milky Way coming right between the bells. And somebody's trying to claim that's all a single shot out of camera. And you start looking at the star schedules and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and you're like, there's no way that happened that way.
Yeah.
um
But it's okay. I think you do you and you be happy and you own what you do and you stand up for it. And as long as you love it, then you're doing good. So, um, then somebody said something else. Do we do photo workshops for smartphones? We don't specifically do that. However, I have nothing against smartphones. I use my iPhone all the time, and I use tons of apps and everything. But we don't have like a smartphone specific workshop. Although I do think that could be kind of a cool online thing to do.
yeah.
I don't know. We're always thinking.
What else how about a trip to the Arctic Ocean through Canada? We've been
Oh,
wanting to do cross
yeah.
Canadian road trips. We honestly, when we did our Alaska through Mexico trip, we just kind of booked it through most of Canada because I don't know, we just didn't have as much time as we hoped. We started later in the summer so that we could announce the kickoff at the U Camp rally in Ohio. And then by the time we did that, we just booked it straight up there, spent a couple months or so up there, and then came back down and had to get back to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Canada, we did not get to spend near enough time in. And we have so many friends up in Canada, I think. It's so beautiful up there.
Yeah.
So we'll do a Canada trip there sometime. Okay. What else do we have over here? It's hard to
Um,
read this tiny little.
Considering a box truck and turn it into a home, what do we think? I think that's a great idea. Um,
Well, Kendrick lived in his truck for
yeah,
4 years. Of course,
but
he
like a
thinks
big
that's a good
box
idea.
truck, like a Penske truck, like a U-Haul moving truck. I think that could be something pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or it can turn out to be a disaster. She's got a cousin who got one and was trying to do that, and it had a rotted out floorboard and all kinds of stuff, and just turned into a mess. So if you're gonna do it right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Um, Back to photography. Fred asked if we're using the Z cameras and how they do with video. Yeah, we do the 6 and the 7. We have both. And they both work really great for video. The built-in stabilization is very nice. It's not anything like having a gimbal, um, but it is equivalent to maybe like when you're on your phone. Um, those have some built-in stabilization. And it's kind of like that. You can pan without too much trouble.
kind of seems to float a little
Yeah.
bit on the
Yeah.
video versus being
It does.
kind of all
And then
jerky.
I actually just got the reason I have this little DJI Osmo thing is I just got the new magnetic mobile gimbal for my phone, which is super cool. It's actually right here in my pile of junk. This thing's really neat. This is DJI's newest little mobile gimbal, and it's tiny. It's like this big, so you can like hike with it if you want to. And then to use it, you don't have to deal with a clamp or anything. It's magnetic, and you just do that and then like pop it up, and then it's not on right now. But it's so quick, and I love the magnet on it because I don't have to worry about clamping my phone on, and I can just grab it. So that's a really cool little gimbal we just got, and I'll probably take that into the canyon actually.
Yeah.
I might get a lot of video footage from my phone for the canyon. That's pretty cool.
Do we live in a trailer? Is
No.
a question.
Yes. Welcome to our home here. It's a super mess right now.
It's a
super mess
right now.
We're getting ready for the canyon.
Yeah, we're getting ready to pack for 4 straight backpacking trips to the canyon, and they're all just kind of back to back to back. So we just are trying to have everything ready for trip number 4 before we go in for trip number 1, just to make sure there's pretty seamless transitions there.
And Colleen just had a follow-up question. She asked if the magnet was bad for the electronics. No, this is literally, it's made for a phone. Like when you get it, that's one of the FAQs. Like, it's literally made to go on a phone, and I've had it on my phone for months, and it hasn't had any issues at all. So yeah, yeah, magnets fine.
Okay, where
Something Ryan Mitchell just asked. Looking forward to parking the tag for beers at Taverado, of
wait,
course.
what now?
Do we have a favorite Colorado hot springs that you can camp at? Ooh, that's a tough one.
When you're talking about camping at a hot springs, do you want to pull up and park at it, or do you want to hike up to it? Um, that's kind of a question there. In terms of parking at them, there's a gosh,
There's that one by Ridgeway. It starts with an O,
there's
but
Orvis. It
it's
is a
it's a nude hot
clothing
springs.
optional hot spring, so I feel like that must be presented first, and then to each their own in terms of making that decision. There are two hot springs in the Leadville or in the Buena Vista, Colorado area, which is kind of central Colorado. One of them is called the Mount Princeton Hot Springs, and the
Oh
other
yeah.
one, I don't know if it's called Mount Yale Hot Springs. It might be, but it's just on the south side of Mount Yale. Um, so those are the. There's another one just south of Salida, between Salida and Alamosa, and I think you can camp there as well. I don't know the clothing policies at that one, so you might research it on your own.
Always good to check in on that. There's a lot of
There's
clothing
strawberry,
optional hot springs out there.
strawberry something hot springs outside of Steamboat. I've been there. I think that's another one where when the lights go out, the clothes come off. I've
Yeah.
been there in the daylight.
Anyway, so yeah, that's definitely great questions. What else do we have coming up? I think generally speaking, we're just looking to 2021. We're looking to see what kind of work we can get back into to make life normal again, but still very safely because the numbers are worse than ever right now. And it's hard. It's definitely hard to watch people go through all this. And so we're looking to do our Smoky Mountains photo workshop next year. We're doing Big Bend. We're doing the Grand Tetons in June. We're doing Colorado summer and fall. Backpacking, Grand Canyon backpacking. So we'll send an email with basically our 2021 schedule, which is pretty much.
We spent the last few weeks kind of finalizing that.
Yeah. Zendava just asked if we spend time in cities. We try really hard not to. Especially during COVID, we're trying really hard not to. And for the most part, we can. We were just we were near Austin this after our Big Bend trip, but we stayed kind of outside of Austin, and we didn't really go into town much. But we really try to just kind of stay in our trailer and then maybe go to the grocery store once a week, and it works out pretty well. So, yeah, we'll do Big Bend in 2021 twice. We'll do March and October. Yep.
And hopefully things are back to normal. With Big Bend a couple years ago, we were just doing one photo workshop in the spring, one in the fall, and we called it our Photo Classics. So it's easy to reach places. But then we decided we wanted to offer a little bit more, and there's some really nice hikes that aren't super strenuous. So we started what we call our adventure days. And we piggyback that on right to the end of the Photo Classics. So if you want to do both, you can. And in the adventure days, we also, with the exception of this most recent time, we take our group across the border to Mexico, and we have a friend or a family down there that has become our friends, and we cross down there, and Lucy makes us all an amazing meal, and we take everybody around and just have a different photography experience where we're not shooting grand landscapes. We're shooting kind of a just kind of an old, some places are run down, some places are newer and nice, but just like an old town in Mexico on the border.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's nice. So, yep. Robert, I had to get to Austin for my red hair. You guys will notice finally, we had really bad COVID hair. Like, we usually get our hair done twice a year, and it's in Texas when we go for March and August or October. And this last March, we had to cancel our trip, because of COVID and all that. So we didn't go. We didn't get our hair done. We didn't get our hair cut. My red totally faded, and I was so sad. And Kendrick's hair was like, oh my gosh, it was so long, and mine was a little bit longer than it is now. It was awful. And we got in, and now I have fresh red. Super stoked about that. And he's got some, more normal length hair, not so long. So anyway,
it's a little bit weird having a brushstroke end there versus continuing on down to there. So I appreciate it.
Anyway, so yeah, we're going to be for the next 2.5 weeks a little bit out of service. So the next videos you'll see from us won't be probably for a couple of weeks, but I promise they're coming, and we'll just be out of service for a while. So that's kind of why we wanted to check in and say hi to everybody and let y'all know we're still live. We're still making videos, and we just need a minute to kind of get the footage and put them together. But we're excited. And if you guys like these live chats, we'll do, we'd like to do them more often, more like once a month or so. We did the last one in June, so we were overdue for sure.
In terms of camp cooking, we haven't been doing a lot of big recipes lately. We had a couple that we made videos of. I think since then I've made gumbo a couple of times in the camper. Made red beans and rice with sausage yesterday. What else have we done? Mandy's always really good at chili. That's her thing. And still doing the bread.
Oh yeah, I still have my sourdough starter from March.
Yeah.
Still alive. Still cooking with that. So yeah, we should do more cooking videos too. And I actually already have footage from a couple of things we made a few months ago that I just never put together.
Pork carnitas is another thing we've done a couple times. I'll get a huge pork shoulder and cook that up into carnitas, and Mandy will make homemade tortillas. And then we like to do
I like that idea.
I like to do like charro beans and stuff like that too. So
a live chat making a meal, that could be cool.
If it's making something like pork carnitas, does anybody want to watch me sitting around drinking beer for 5 hours while I cook pork carnitas?
That's true. The problem with doing the live cooking is that some of the meals we cook actually take like a really long time.
Yeah.
But it's still a fun idea. Maybe right at the end we could go live.
Or
I don't know.
Can go live at the beginning, showing the process for getting everything ready, and then just kind of go silent, and then come back on again whenever it's almost ready to eat. So then people have to watch us eat.
Yeah, watch us eat. No. Anyway, it sounds fun. So we'll figure that out. We'll get some good stuff going.
If you ever want to try our campfire cooking, you can ask anybody that's taken one of our photo workshops. Come take one of those. And the day that we meet for the first day of our workshop, we usually have something good cooking over the campfire, and we cook for everybody in our group.
Yeah. Yep.
So
we feed people well. So, all right. Well, it's been almost 45 minutes. I feel like we should let y'all go. Get on with your days. And
thank you, Colleen.
Oh, thanks, Colleen. I really appreciate that. And yeah, you guys are the best. Man, this is awesome.
Thanks again, Mr. Heward and Mrs. Heward.
Yeah, again. Mike and Pam.
But yeah, I think that's everything we kind of had laid out to talk about.
So keep in touch. Watch for videos coming up about our canyon trips and, posts. And if you don't follow us on, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, find us there, and we'll post y'all and let you know we're alive in between each of these trips. Oh gosh. So we love you guys. You're the best.
See y'all.
Oh, wait. Here, let's do this. Here's to
hiking to the bottom of the Grand Canyon 4 times in 2 weeks and calling that work.
Love and light.